Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Ursland, and I'm privileged to be a member of our standing committee. And I'm thrilled to see everyone here today in the sanctuary. And welcome to all of those people who are joining us online, either through Zoom or on YouTube. It's great to have you here this morning. I'm just going to say a quick thank you to everyone who helped with the concert that was held here last night. Emma's Revolution, Sally Rogers and Claudia Schmidt. Those of you who were here, I hope will agree it was a fantastic event. We had a great time. And I will just pass along that Pat and Sandy stayed with us, Emma's Revolution stayed with us last night, and they were thrilled, very grateful for all of the people who helped. And I'm very grateful for all the people who helped me get this pulled together. A couple of things happening today and in the coming week. So first, I will mention that our auction has a major event happening right after the service. Raffle baskets are in the vestry, and you still have time after the service to buy raffle tickets and try and win that item of your dearest longing. Look at what's there. There's some great items. The raffles will be pulled at 11:30 or roughly 30 minutes after the service. So if you stick around for a little bit, you might be able to take home a wonderful prize. Later this afternoon, we have our budget review. The May warranted meeting is coming up in 2 weeks. Dave McManus has prepared the initial budget and will host a review of this. Because it's coinciding with the auction, we're not doing it right after the service. We'll do it at 3 o'clock on Zoom. Dave sent out a link. If you need to find the link, check with Dave, check with me. We'll make sure that we can get it to you. But please come. It's important to see what's going into the budget decisions for next year. Third thing, so there's a new support group that's starting up, the support group for parents of adult children. This is essentially for anyone who sees that they have work to do or want to discuss how they support their adult children. And you can talk to either Prizzle Dumka or Phyllis Terry. They're planning to send a Zoom link tomorrow to anyone who's expressed an interest in joining, and that group will meet on Wednesday evening. And I think that's everything on my list. So again, welcome to the service. Please silence your phones or put them in worship mode.
Peter, are we doing a reading today?
We are doing yeah.
Okay. You want to do it now?
Give me just a moment.
Okay.
Let me ring the bell.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the warrant.
Okay.
Yes, there will be a reading of the warrant in just a few minutes. I'm just going to mention that there probably are some leftover goodies from last night's concert. So go to coffee hour, through this door, into the vestry, follow the crowds. And welcome to church, and we will follow this with a reading of the warrant by our clerk and Donald.
Hi, I'm Ann Donald, the clerk. First, the voting list is now available on our website.
Ann, please wait for me.
Okay.
Please go, Ann.
Hi, I'm Ann Donald, your clerk. First, the voting list is now available on our website as well as posted at the church. I am notifying you the members of First Church Unitarian that you are lawfully entitled to vote in its affairs, to meet in person in the sanctuary or on a Zoom call. The link will be provided on Sunday, May 19th at 11:30 or 30 minutes following the end of the morning worship services, whichever is later, to act on the following articles. First, to review and accept the minutes from the October 22, 2023 warranted meeting. Second, to hear and act upon the 2023-2024 annual report. Third, to elect officers of the First Church Unitarian, nominating committee members and delegates to the 2024 UUA General Assembly. Fourth, to authorize the use of funds from the Capital Reserve and Capital Campaign 2016 accounts to address required building maintenance projects. As of the end of March 2024, the total value of these funds is $52,314. Fifth, to act upon the proposed budget for July 2024 through June 2025. Sixth, to transact any other business that may lawfully come before said meeting. Thank you.
Look to this day. In its brief course lie all the realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. As I invite Natalie to come forward, where is she? There she is. To light our chalice, we'll wait a moment. Good morning. And let's say the words of our covenant together, both on the screens and in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you, Natalie. Good morning. I'm Kristine Tomlinson. My pronouns are she and her. I am short with shoulder-length gray hair and glasses. I left out a whole bunch of other stuff, so we're safe. I join Peter in welcoming new visitors both in the sanctuary and online. After the service, please join us for coffee hour and fellowship. If you are joining us through Zoom, you can stay afterwards for a virtual coffee hour. To find out more about FCU, fill out one of the violet-colored pew cards and place it in the collection plate during the offertory. You can also learn more at fculittle.org. And now please rise in spirit as you are able for our opening hymn. We're going to do just the first two verses. It is number 127 in the gray hymnal, Be That Guide. Oh, sorry, I have it right in one area and wrong in the other. Thank you. Please be seated.
Now you can hear me, right? Yeah. All right. A little? Okay. I'll get closer. So, as you know, I love to read some of my favorite books. This happens to be one of my really favorite stories. It's called The Three Questions by John Muth, and it's based on a Tolstoy story. And the pictures he painted as well, and they're absolutely beautiful. So you can come sit up front, or you can just watch the screen. Hi, guys. There once was a boy named Nikolai who sometimes felt uncertain about the way to act. I want to be a good person, he told his friends, but I don't know the best ways to do that. Nikolai's friends understood and they wanted to help him. If only I could find the answers to my 3 questions, Nikolai continued, then I would always know what to do. When is the best time to do things? Who is the most important one? And what is the right thing to do? Nikolai's friends considered his question. Then Sonia, the heron, spoke. To know the best time to do things, one must plan in advance, she said. Goggle the monkey, who had been rooting through some leaves to find something good to eat, said, You You'll know when to do things if you watch and pay close attention. Then Pushkin, the dog, who was just dozing off, rolled over and said, "You can't pay attention to everything yourself. You need a pack to keep watch and help you decide when to do things. For example, Goggle, a coconut is about to fall on your head." Nikolai thought for a moment. Then he asked his second question, "Who is the most important one?" "Those who are closest to heaven," said Sonia, circling up into the sky. "Those who know how to heal the sick," said Goggle, stroking his bruised noggin. "Those who make the rules," growled Pushkin. Nikolai thought some more. Then he asked the third question, "What is the right thing to do?" "Flying," said Sonia. "Having fun all the time," laughed Goggle. "Fighting," barked Pushkin right away. Then the boys thought for a long while. He loved his friends. He knew they were all trying their best to help him answer their questions, but they didn't seem quite right. Then an idea came to him. "I know," he thought, "I will ask Leo the turtle. He has lived a very long time. Surely he will know the answers to what I am looking for." Nikolai hiked high up into the mountains where the old turtle lived all alone. When Nikolai arrived, he found Leo digging a garden. The turtle was old, and digging was hard for him. "I have 3 questions. I came to ask your help," Nikolai said. "When is the best time to do things? Who's the most important one? What is the right thing to do?" Leo listened carefully, but only smiled, and then he went on digging. "You must be tired," Nikolai said at last. "Let me help you." The turtle gave him his shovel and thanked him. And because it was easier for a young boy to dig than it was for an old turtle, Nikolai kept on digging until the rows were finished. But just as he finished, the wind blew wildly, the rain burst from darkened clouds. As they moved toward the cottage for shelter, Nikolai suddenly heard a cry for help. Running down the path, he found a panda whose leg had been injured by a fallen tree. Carefully, Nikolai carried her into Leo's house and made a splint for her leg with a stick of bamboo. The storm raged on, banging at the doors and windows. The panda woke up. "Where am I?" she asked. "And where is my child?" The boy ran out of the cottage and down the path. The roar of the storm was deafening. Pushing against the howling wind, drenching rain, he ran farther into the forest. And there he found the panda's child, cold and shivering on the ground. The panda was wet and scared but alive. Nikolai carried her inside and made her warm and dry, and then he laid her in her mother's arms. Leo smiled when he saw what the boy had done. The next morning, the sun was warm, birds sang, and all was well in the world. The panda's leg was healing nicely, and she thanked Nikolai for saving her and her baby from the storm. At that moment, Sonia, Goggle, and Pushkin arrived to make sure everyone was all right. Nikolai felt a great peace within himself. He had wonderful friends, and he had saved the panda and her child. But he also felt disappointed. He still had not found the answers to his 3 questions, so he asked Leo one more time. The old turtle looked at the boy. "But your questions have been answered," he said. "They have?" said the boy. Yes, yesterday. If you had not stayed to help me dig my garden, you wouldn't have heard the panda's cries for the help in the storm. Therefore, the most important time was the time you spent digging the garden. The most important one at that moment was me, and the most important thing to do was to help me with my garden. Later, when you found the injured panda, the most important time was the time you spent mending her leg and saving her child. The most important ones were the panda and her baby. And the most important thing to do was to take care of them and make them safe. Remember then that there is only one important time, and that time is now. The most important one is always the one you are with. And the most important thing to do is good for the one who is standing at your side. For these, my dear boy, are the answers to the most important questions in the world. That is why we are here. Thank you.
Unitarian Universalist congregations like ours are self-sustaining. Once a month, our collection goes to an organization performing good works in the larger community. Anna Fadden will now introduce today's Share the Plate recipient and video.
This month's Share the Plate is WRAP, a Women's Reproductive Rights Access Project. This is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization assisting women who are financially unable to pay for safe and legal abortions or emergency contraception. Today, we will watch a short video and hear directly from Sylvia Gazarian, RAP's Executive Director, about the importance of the work they do.
Hi, everyone. I am Sylvia Gazarian, Executive Director of the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. I want to give a big thank you to all of you for allowing me the opportunity to discuss our organization for your Share the Plate collection today. RAP is the largest national independent nonprofit 501c3 abortion fund, funding medical and surgical abortions in states across the U.S. Headquartered in Los Angeles, we work with a network of over 700 clinics, doctors, and hospitals. Joyce Shore, our president and founder, started RAP over 31 years ago to ensure that all marginalized individuals can access abortion care and emergency contraceptives. As the largest national abortion fund, we are working to keep up with the influx of funding needs of patients. Abortion care that used to cost $500 now costs $1,500. In addition, we fund the abortion pill by mail. This has dismantled a huge barrier for those in areas where access has always been a challenge, and going to a clinic meant traveling over 100 miles. So I ask you to be generous today to help support patients. Before I leave, I want to share with you a story from an OBGYN. Her story is the same ones we hear at RAP each day. I have been an OBGYN for almost 17 years, and I would like to invite you to come into my exam room just for a moment to listen to the stories I have heard. I can't afford to feed my children I have now. I fear for my life. I went into heart failure with my last pregnancy. My tubes were tied. I never intended to have more kids. I am alone. I was raped. I am 13 years old. I have breast cancer and am getting chemotherapy. My baby has multiple anomalies. I'm worried I will kill myself if I keep this pregnancy. I don't want a baby right now. I don't want to be pregnant. The truth is, it should not matter. You don't need a reason other than this is your choice. Your donation today will make a tremendous impact on the patients we serve. It will change their lives and for many, save their lives. Please give today so we can fund more patients in need of abortion care. Thank you.
Will the ushers please come forward as we gratefully receive the offering?
Please join together in the words of our community response. We are grateful for the opportunity to give and serve, and grateful for the gifts we have received. May this affirm the ministries of our church community, both within and beyond these walls. I'd like to invite Rochelle Chambliss to come forward for today's readings.
Lesson 1, Suspension or Surrender, is taken from Suleika Jawad's Two Kingdoms, a memoir of a life interrupted. But for all patients, the end goal is eventually to leave the kingdom of the sick. It's time to say goodbye to the eerie and changeless fluorescence of hospital rooms. It's time to step back into sunlight. It's where I find myself now, on the threshold between an old familiar state and an unknown future. I'm left with the question of how to repatriate myself to the kingdom of the well, and whether I ever fully can. No treatment protocols or discharge instructions can guide this part of my trajectory. The way forward is going to have to be my own. Lesson 2, The Present, is from Flora Courtois, The Door to Infinity in Parabola, The Search for Meaning, a magazine. Every moment lived in absorbed attention is simultaneously a beginning and an end, at once birth and a death. In such attention, we are radically open to the unexpected, to letting life live us. Any event, however small or seemingly trivial, properly attended, opens the door to infinity. Lesson 3, Rebirth, is from Frank Bruni, The Beauty of Dusk, on Vision Lost and Found. In your 60s, 70s, and 80s, when aging invariably erodes your physical might, there's no age limit on the idea, the reality, that we have second selves and probably third and fourth selves to rescue us when our first selves are compromised or killed off, or that life is such a cornucopia of choices and possibilities that to be denied some is to be nudged toward others.
Thank you, Rochelle. And the final reading comes from Henri Nouwen. In introducing his book, The Wounded Healer, about what he called nuclear man, contemporary suffering and the leadership role of ministers, Henri Nouwen wrote, quote, "However, in the middle of all fragmentation, one image slowly arose as the focus of all considerations, the image of the wounded healer. This image was the last in coming. After all attempts to articulate the predicament of modern man, the necessity to articulate the predicament of the minister himself became the most important. For the minister is called to recognize the sufferings of his time in his own heart and make that recognition the starting point of his service. Whether he tries to enter into a dislocated world, relate to a compulsive generation, or speak to a dying man, the service will not be perceived as authentic unless it comes from a heart wounded by the sufferings about which he speaks. Thus, nothing can be written about ministry without a deeper understanding of the ways in which the minister can make his own wounds available as a source of healing." End quote. And to that I would add, we are all ministers. Early on in my recovery from a serious bicycle accident back in 2001, two images emerged that guide my thoughts and provide a framework for the experience, as well as for my future as an interfaith minister. Now, so many years later, I've questioned whether those images and resultant framework remain relevant for my current stage of life, as well as to provide help to others through ministry. Those images are Chiron, the wounded healer of Greek mythology, and the Hanged Man, a card from a Western fortune-telling deck known as the Tarot. From the moment of my accident, I never sought any meaning regarding it, such as why did it happen? Rather, I tried to see what I could learn from the experience as I lived my way through it, minute by minute, day by day, and literally step by step as I learned to walk again. The images of Chiron and the Hanged Man helped me share what I experienced and learned, and in turn give back to others. Give back to you, I hope. Let me introduce these images one at a time. It was just a few days into my hospital stay when my friend Phoebe, an astrologer, called me. As was her way, upon hearing of my accident or anything else significant, she immediately reached for her ephemeris, a table of the planetary positions. Phoebe reported that on the day of my accident, the planetoid Chiron was square my sun, that is within 90 degrees of the sign under which I was born. Virgo, not hospital. She elaborated that this was a time of the pragmatic mystic, the wounded healer, grounded, and yet with freely flowing energy. In a word, she said, creativity. My friend suggested looking at past wounds laid to rest in order to use my own healing wisdom to move forward and to allow personal and community love to strengthen and resolve one another. Yeah, easy for her to say. And so Chiron, the wounded healer, an archetype that I had studied in years past, re-entered my life and my awareness with a jolt. According to Greek mythology, Chiron was a centaur, half horse and half man, the son of a Titan and a horse. And abandoned by his mother for his appearance, Chiron was raised by the god of healing, Apollo. And so unique among the otherwise wild and crazy centaurs, Chiron was known for his goodness and his wisdom. He was also immortal. It was during Hercules' fourth labor that Chiron obtained the name of Wounded Healer. On his way to his next task, Hercules and a centaur friend opened a jar of sacred wine entrusted to all centaurs. Because of this affront, the other centaurs attacked Hercules. During the fight, Hercules accidentally wounded the innocent Chiron, and being immortal, the wound was incurable, and he suffered in pain. Eventually, Zeus let Chiron die in the place of Prometheus, another super lucky guy, bringing Chiron's suffering to an end. When I got home from the hospital and rehab, I picked up Henri Nouwen's book, The Wounded Healer, the source of today's fourth reading. Years prior to my accident, it was recommended to me by an apostolic Catholic priest and co-worker. I was disappointed by this book with the tantalizing name but greatly outdated language and themes rooted in the 1960s and early 70s, time periods I, for one, don't need to relive. As Nouwen admits, it isn't until his final chapter that he addresses what is meant by wounded healer. To help understand this term, consider this. In the West, it's fashionable and desirable to be able to say, my son or daughter, the doctor. However, as I was taught in Lakota tradition, when a child is born and pronounced to be a bone or other healer, the parents are greatly saddened. They know that their child will be a healer only if he or she survives all that lies ahead. They understand and acknowledge the depth of suffering that makes one a healer, one who can minister to others. But it is during times of suffering that our own strength and energy can flow unexpectedly, unimpeded, right there in the midst of great pain, fear, and confusion. If then, as Nouwen says in today's reading, having suffered and healed allows us to help others by being authentic in our support, how can we hope to help those whose wounds are so severe, so numerous, or so tragic that they exceed our own experience or even comprehension? We can, by continuing to be authentic, to be with another person in their moment of pain. As the words of the song Testify to Love go, I'll be the witnesses in the silences when words are not enough. I'll be the witness in the silences when words are not enough. To be there for another person provides hope, whether it be one-on-one in a life and death situation or the wonderful and broad community we have gathered here each week. But to be there with another and not fall prey to our fears or take on another's fears requires strength, courage, and yes, even practice. But don't worry, life will give us plenty of practice. For some, there's another more accessible image of strength and hope whose example models behaviors of compassion, healing, and witness. For those people, the Greek image of Chiron finds expression in another wounded healer, Jesus Christ. For Christians, Jesus is the ultimate wounded healer, and it is to this image that Nouwen, a Catholic priest, ultimately turns. So where does the hanged man come in, you may wonder? Imagine, if you will, lying on your back in great pain with a broken pelvis, the thing that holds the top and the bottom together, one leg completely paralyzed from trauma, a broken shoulder, and an arm in a sling. Got that? Okay. Now find a comfortable sleeping position. There is one, and only one, thank goodness, the pose of the hanged man, the 12th card in a tarot deck. Trust me on this one, okay? Can we have that slide, please? Doesn't that look comfy? Tarot cards are a divination system dating from the 14th century with various unproven origins. The 78-card tarot consists of 22 major arcana cards, of which the Hanged Man is one. These cards always represent the individual posing the divination question. So what does this represent? Tarot literature suggests suspension, but not life and death, transition, powerlessness, surrender to a higher wisdom, as well as ecstasy and deep entrancement. For me, the pose of the hanged man symbolizes cycles or phases of life and energy, which can be viewed as a continuous wave, ebbing and flowing, but that could also be experienced as poised in action. To illustrate, consider the point of intersection found at the middle of the figure 8 or infinity symbol, or the intersection of two paths before one has been chosen. I will call these lessons of life phases and this archetypal image suspension or surrender, here and now, and rebirth. Lesson 1, suspension and surrender. Life, any life, can be on hold or extinguished at any time. Maybe you were like the 46-year-old me and thought, yeah, sure, whatever. Maybe you've had some serious interruptions in your life or in the lives of those you love. But though your life and plans were temporarily sidetracked, perhaps you could still drive or take care of yourself in ways that gave you some sense of independence or control. Me too. That is, until the day that in the blink of an eye, I was on the ground, unable to move, knowing full well what I had broken and fearful of what I didn't yet know about. Would I be paralyzed for life? As I noted the time on the ambulance clock above me, many things flashed through my mind. The bad timing with the seminary I attended, missing exams. Bummer, I missed exams. 1 year-end retreat and our initiation, the music at church where I was to sing and play the next day, and the summer opportunity to sing Christian rock and roll that I had waited for all year. After a passing split second of disbelief and questioning, the only other thought in my mind was the resignation that if this is what Great Spirit, God, the universe, the Tao, life, or whatever wanted of me right now, this is where I was. It would have to be, for I had no choice. Life is movement and change. Oddly, the hanged man is a symbol of suspension. Is this also a part of the rhythm of life, to stop and cease movement? Of course. But this image symbolizes more than taking a moment out of one's day to stop and smell the roses, which you can do a lot in a hospital room, by the way. It is more, too, than alluding to periods of meditation or even a day of rest in one's work week. Having studied Western, Asian, and Native American medicine wheels, circular blueprints for all aspects of life, I was reminded of the center of the wheel, often the junction of the cardinal points. What is the center of a medicine wheel but a crossroads at two paths? As Jamie Sams wrote, every time a person reaches a crossroads and a decision must be made, that change in attitude marks the death of the old and the birth of the new. But there's much to do while on the road to rebirth, and that's the next lesson. Lesson 2, here and now. Religions, psychology, and New Age philosophies abound with the benefits of living in the moment. It's easy to talk about, but not so easy to do. As medics wheeled me to the emergency room, I decided to learn everything I possibly could from the experience. No matter how difficult the pain, how unknown or seemingly endless the recovery, my first task was to treat every human being I came across as a very special person. Not in a contrived fashion, but genuinely from my heart. All else, including my own healing, obviously a top priority, would have to flow from that core practice, from my personal integrity and beliefs. Keeping the Hindu greeting Namaste, loosely meaning the divine in me recognizes the divine in you, in the back of my mind became a way of grounding in the here and now. No matter what the circumstance, x-rays, blood tests, spilled commodes, those first painful steps the day after the accident, or fighting with the insurance company to gain extra days, I tried to treat everyone around me with love and respect. I felt good, and people responded in kind. In addition to helping me heal and avoid the victim trap, living in the here and now had another benefit. It forced me to address my most basic fears that were driven to the foreground by my injuries and helplessness. And in spite of my apparent aloneness, it allowed me to do so while in relation with others. Addressing my fears led to my re-emergence as a person with greater self-knowledge and fewer areas of self-doubt. By reaching out to and accepting help from others, I was overwhelmed with the joy of discovering a loving support system and community. For a self-sufficient person who has to do everything herself, this could only be described as a rebirth. The remaining lesson. Hand anyone the hanged man card, and invariably they will turn it so the figure is upright. Try it sometime. My understanding of this phenomenon came from Mesoamerican beliefs symbolized by the bat. To the Mayan and Aztec people, bats hang upside down in a dark cave just as a baby lies positioned in the dark womb, awaiting to be born. Bats and babies are born when they emerge into the light from the darkness. This emergence can be seen as the result of the struggle with the fears and the side of the self we'd rather not look at unless forced to, as described in the previous lesson. No matter who the healer or how good, the right to heal must be earned. And it is always preceded by hard work symbolized as ritual death and rebirth. The image of this card then can also signify the healed healer. Oddly, as I lay in the emergency room for 8 hours, I kept thinking of a Mayan initiation ceremony, a shaman's death. It is a time to address your fears and shadows. Regarding this ritual, Jamie Sams wrote that the finest shamans in our world today are those healed healers who have walked the path of death and rebirth, destroying the shadows that have blocked their inner clarity. Once a person has experienced the hard-fought road to wellness, it becomes easy to assist others in doing the same, end quote. I might challenge the easy part. You still have to get through it. But Henri Nouwen echoes this when he says that the healed healer is someone who, through personal experience, can help others move beyond a place of being afraid of life, but equally afraid of death. Through hope, you or another can move beyond this place of paralysis, and as Sams and Nouwen agree, to become your future. Suspension and surrender, here and now, rebirth, the wounded healer. In preparing this sermon, I considered whether these images were still relevant for me and for sharing with you. To keep you in suspense, just a bit, but I am cognizant of the time, here's a recap of some of the things I experienced since 2001. I made up my Miss Seminary retreat by joining the self-styled 9/11 class. Based in New York City, I listened to first-year students' eyewitness accounts of what they saw that day, standing at the foot of the Twin Towers. I was moved by that, and I have been changed by that. Students who questioned through tears why they had been called because of to be ministers at this horrific point in time. Next, my father died. Then I lost my job because I was out recovering. That was followed by 5 years of a career-threatening injury. Then cancer took a friend I hoped to retire with. You kind of get the idea. It was life. More recently, I've dealt with not one, but 2 concussions, all while caring for my mother long distance until her death 13 years later. Topping it off was my own recent life-threatening illness, treatment and aftermath that didn't follow the expected recovery path. All this life culminated in having to leave my job this February, sooner than I had planned. Unlike my bike accident and the many challenges that followed, I had finally reached a point where I couldn't juggle it all. I had met new physical, emotional, and psychic limitations. What is different from 23 years ago is that I am older and at a stage in life where how much time remains is unknown, but it is guaranteed to be shorter than what I've had. Was a new archetype required? The crone, the wise and powerful woman of the triple goddess cycle, immediately came to mind. but it doesn't fit. I feel anything but wise. Nor do I feel super self-empowered at this time of multiple transitions. I remember telling a therapist years ago that I was working on myself so that when I was older, I would have my act together. Like you, she burst out laughing. She was right, of course. Nothing can prepare you for what aging will bring. The reality is unpredictable and different for us all, and despite broad similarities, it is constantly changing. Now unexpectedly retired myself, I recalled a retired coworker who came back to work for a visit. She said she had spent her first months of retirement cleaning out her closets. It was my turn to laugh, but now I get it. Giving up items from the past that no longer serve you, whether physically, psychically, or emotionally, allows you the literal space to uncover and discover yourself and your future. Having had a life-threatening illness, losing my beloved parent and my career, I don't know who I am. How can I learn to trust my health again? How do I compare to my mother at this stage in life? I've never identified myself with my job, but I'm still confronted with the question, what skills and activities do I want to invest my time in? And importantly, what can I realistically do? And so I found myself questioning an underpinning of this sermon. What does healing actually look like? If we are changed by the challenges we've been dealt, what is a healed healer? A younger me assumed and could act as though healing would be total and complete, strong as ever, good as new. In 2024, I've concluded that healing is what my doctor would call over the years my new normal. And my new normal is constantly changing. Two authors have written more eloquently than I ever could about what I'm experiencing and have shared with you today. We heard them speak in our readings about suspension and rebirth, and I recommend them to you. Frank Bruni wrote about a stroke that took his sight in one eye and threatened it in the other. Suleika Jawad wrote about being treated for leukemia for 4 years, only to find afterward that she didn't know how to move forward, how to live. Both writers stress the importance of creativity in these times of transition, which brings me full circle to my friend's advice about a Chiron square, that creativity will get me through. Our trials can facilitate change in others and potentially facilitate healing in others. Hopefully a few ideas and archetypes have been presented for your consideration. As you leave today, think about your past wounds and past healings, the times when you've been the wounded healer, the times when another has used their healed wounds to help you. Perhaps some of you feel as though you are bearing a wound that hasn't yet healed, and like Chiron and me, are awaiting Zeus's rescue. Perhaps you feel like a perpetual victim, perplexed about your situation and what to do next. Like the tarot card, hang in there. There is always hope because each and every one of us is a healer, a minister to ourselves and to others. Each one of us can be reborn no matter what the challenges or their frequency. And our greatest medicine for ourselves and for each other is love. Amen and blessed be. In the interest of time, we will sing the first 2 verses of the closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life, in the Great Hymnal.
Which we are called to you.
please take the hand of the person next to you or touch shoulders, whatever works for you and makes you comfortable. For those of us online, feel free to hold up your hands. Send us your loving energy as we send our loving energy back to you. Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourselves. Act justly. Speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves. And go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart, as together we say, Amen and blessed be.